Welcome to the Predictive PlayBook. I'm your host, John Ryan, and it's another day at Manny's Irish Pub. I'm with Rob Vino so far, and I hope you guys enjoyed that little video thing that I threw together. Just trying to get everybody pumped up, just like we would be acting at a game if our favorite team hit a home run or scored a touchdown. Got a safety, quarterback sack, any of that great stuff. PGA Championship later this week at Kiowa Island. David Behrman on the show today at 11:30 a.m. It's in archived condition status, so you can watch it now. You can watch it tomorrow. The guy has won. He's been very profitable in 9 of 11 events that he's been on the Predictive Playbook show. And honestly, I love his picks. I love the picks. They're not the favorites. And I think that's what's going to go down at Kiowa. You may remember in 1991, it was called the War at the Shore. And that was when Bernhard Langer, playing for the European team of the Ryder Cup competition, on a hole that was 190 yards long, hit a 3-wood short and into the water. So what does that tell you? Wind. Kiowa Island is known for wind, and an average day of wind there is 25 to 30 miles an hour. I would love to get a prop bet that there will be fewer than 5 guys under par with those kind of conditions, and that's the average day at Kiowa Island on the ocean course. It's one of those special places where, the legendary Pete Dye, some people say he was in a bad mood when he did Sawgrass, and he was even in a worse mood when he did this one. It's going to play close to 7,800 yards, which is the longest event ever for a major. And it's on one of the hardest courses in the world. So believe me, this people compare it to Pebble Beach. There's no comparison. I'm telling you right now, there's no comparison. And by the way, 17 will be playing into a 30-mile-an-hour wind, and it's 215 yards. It'll play like it's 250. Anyway, we'll stop talking about the golf here, and I'm going to welcome my sidekick and co-host, Rob Vino. As you can see, Rob, I flew down to Kiowa here, just hanging out, with the PGA trophy behind me. I can't wait for that event to start. It's going to be nuts. I actually heard Rory McIlroy speak today, and of all the golfers, he's the most eloquent, intelligent public speaker I think I've ever heard. Maybe other than Arnold Palmer himself. But he was saying that when he plays in these windy conditions, he and his caddy don't put much thought process into it. He kind of has an eye for the distance, and he said, I play like what I did when I was 10, 12 years old. I eye it up with my eyes. I can tell how far it is. I can feel the wind, and they make a decision and go with it. And he said the worst thing you can do in a condition like this is overthink. And unfortunately, with all due respect, that made me, the first thing that came to mind was Jordan Spieth. And I do think, I've said it time and time again, that he and his caddy are overly thinking things. They're counting literally blades of grass. And the same thing with Bryson. Bryson has gotten away from it a little bit. But I don't think this is the type of course with this wind that Bryson is really going to enjoy. And I wish no ill will on any golfer at any tournament, let alone a major. But there's courses that suit certain guys. There's courses that don't. Leishman is from Ireland. He knows how to hit a very low penetrating shot. I think he is going to be contending by Sunday. And then I'll give my rest of my picks and my DraftKings lineups tomorrow on the show here. So there you got your golf update, Rob.
Very nice. Bryson DeChambeau does not like windy conditions.
Well, he hits it very, very high. He can hit a stinger very, very low, but the problem is that these fairways become more narrow. And what has made Pete Dye such a great architect is that he can change the land contour to make you look away from where you're supposed to be looking. Or he'll make it look like the sand trap that's 200 yards away from you is just a little dot when it's actually the size of Arizona. And that's what makes his courses so legendary. I played this course twice. And that 17th hole, the first day was into the wind. I hit 3-wood. The second day, there was a storm coming up from the south. So it was one of those rare times that you got to play 17 downwind, and it was an 8-iron. Same distance. So technically there's no out of bounds on the course. Of course, if you hit it into the water, that's out of bounds. But you won't see any stakes unless they have changed that. So you're not going to see any, like, you might see some hazard stakes, which are yellow. But believe me, you can hit it in places where you're not going to play it. You have to worry about the wildlife too. And we got Tony Mahia in here. Tony Mahia beat Tony Finn.
Oh my goodness! How are
Welcome,
you?
Tony.
You got it right last time, John. It's Mejia.
Mahia.
You're getting better.
So it's like, I'll remember it this way. He and Miko. So it's Joe D'Amico, Tony Mejia. I'm a poet.
There you go.
Yeah. Welcome to the show, Tony. I'm glad you could make it today. I just got done talking about golf for like the last hour. But I mean, this is when it's at one of my favorite venues. I just like get out of my skin, and I don't know who I act like. That we all know. I guess I'm pretty unique that way, but I really think, I was telling Rob, I don't think there's going to be more than 5 guys under par. We're going to have Nick Borman, our Wager Talk PGA expert, on the show tomorrow at 4:30. So it'll be interesting to see what his final thoughts are going into the event. But this is the longest yardage major ever, and on the hardest course probably in North America. If you would disagree with that, the slope rating is 158, if I remember correctly. So if you're, let's put it this way, when I played it, this was 20 years ago, for the first time, I was a legitimate 1.5 handicap. Not bragging, just saying what I was. I shot 12 over. You just never saw anything like it in your life, and it's just so beautiful. It's link style. It's on the ocean. If you watch it on TV, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's just wild. So you know how my week's going. How's your week, Tony?
My week has been okay. I mean, yesterday was under the radar, but this is going to be a swamped week because I've got writing to do, and I've got all these previews and stuff, and I think I'm booked on something every day this week now, so it'll be busy, but things are good. Finished up the FCS with that Sam Houston State win, so that was solid. 7-1 playoff run, and I started slowly and kind of gave up on the season halfway through because it was so hard to keep track of that and March Madness. So it was good ending there. Hopefully, built solid momentum for college football season, which I guess is 90 days away.
I can't wait.
Yeah, right.
Can't wait.
So I was number one at Wager Talk last year for that, and which balanced out a terrible NFL season. But yeah, just the marathon continues, and you guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's I don't like. I'm not very good at like promoting myself, but I can promote the daylights out of guys like you. So that's why I have my little special scrolling on the bottom. It's much easier for people to read that instead of hearing my voice, begging people to go to Sportsman One Buy.
But I'm not great at that either. You accentuate the positives and hope there aren't too many negatives. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I'm getting psyched for the football season too, mainly because I was number one over at Sports Memo, NFL, and combined I think I was number one too, college football and NFL. But I went on a 18-4 tear in the NFL at the end of the season.
Yeah, so I think I remember that.
That's how I got to the 64, 65% level, whatever it was. And when you're on a hot streak, you get breaks.
MLB seems to be easier to handicap June, July, especially when you can really lock in on stuff that you like. like right now, I'm picking and choosing. I should have ridden Darvish yesterday, did not. But I pushed my only play. I'll have something MLB today, but NBA I've already got 6 out of my 7 plays up. So we're hustling hard now.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Tony Finn.
Yeah, and I almost forgot the NBA playoffs are tonight. No, I'm just kidding. But that's what we're going to start with today on the show, and then we're going to get into something we're notorious for getting off the rails. We almost pride ourselves in being able to go off the rails for extended periods of time, and then somehow we get back on the rails. And we had a really good topic going yesterday with Major League Baseball, first 5 innings. I have a lot of queries done on that I'm going to share after we do the NBA stuff. Unfortunately, I didn't get it to Mr. Finn in time, only because I got tied up with other stuff. But what I'm going to do is after this show and tomorrow and the rest of the week is put it together in a nice flashy Excel presentation, because Mr. Finn and Mr. Vino get credit for coming up with this idea of the first 5, with various conditions: home, away, home favorite, home dog, away favorite, away dog, favorites under 150, favorites between 150 and 175, etc. As we'll see. And I think it disproves the notion that I'm only going to bet the first 5 because the bullpen sucks and I can't trust them. I think what we're going to see on this is that even if the bullpen sucks on paper, you can trust them, because the percentages are just extraordinarily high. But we'll get to that in a little bit. But welcome to the show, Tony Finn.
Thank you very much. I was here. I've been in studio for quite a while. I just been in the wrong studio.
Does
How
he
you
do
feeling, Finn?
Does he do this intentionally?
Good, Anthony. I do everything intentionally.
Now, Mr. Finn, I have a trivia question. I like to do trivia with you. The trophy that is right next to me is
Linda
called
Lovelace.
what? No, you gotta you never answer. Don't play it like Jeopardy. You gotta wait till you hear the whole question. All right. So what trophy is sitting next to me? And if you don't know, it's okay.
I think it's the British Open trophy.
Mr. Vino.
You probably just told me PGA Championship trophy. I don't know.
That's what it is, but it has a special name. It's named after somebody. It was
Linda
named
Lovelace.
after
Byron Nelson.
It was named after a department store. Actually, it was in Philadelphia.
Woolworths.
Nope. You got it.
Kmart.
You got the right
Walmart.
first letter. Tony, do you know?
Macy's.
It's called the Wanamaker Trophy.
Oh,
The Brad Wanamaker?
I didn't.
Yeah,
Like the guy that used to be on the Celtics.
yeah,
He's on the
yeah.
Hornets now.
I'm
Really?
sure it's after him.
He was royalty? I didn't know he was royalty.
Sir
any-
Brad Wanamaker.
For any golfers out there, I'm trying.
Listen, I'm a golfer. But I never won any trophies, so I don't know anything about trophies.
I can't help myself. Anytime
And
somebody,
if I won a trophy, I would just drink out of it. That's all I would do with it.
I think they do that. I think every single major trophy is drinkable.
Yeah.
We can ask John Daly if you want.
No, John Daly ate his trophy too.
He's playing in this event.
Really?
Yes, he is.
Is he still hitting the ball 500 yards backwards?
I'm not sure of that. I haven't seen any film clip on him yet, but he is priced at 6,000,
like
which
John
is the
Daly.
lowest.
Don't get me
on
wrong.
DraftKings.
I like John Daly. I like him.
So if I go down
man's
to
man.
South Point and ask them to make me the odds that John Daly will make the cut, do you think they would give me odds?
They would, and they'd say, "Well, you choose the odds, and we'll give them to you because he's not making the cut."
Well, I was going to use Steve Merrill's money, so what do I care?
There you go.
I just thought it'd be a cool bet.
Just tell me when even money then. If it's not your money,
Even money.
you don't get to keep it anyway.
It's gonna be a brutal event.
Yeah.
I would take a prop bet though. A number of guys at the end of the event under par, and I would say if that line comes out and it's anything greater than 5, I'm all over it. All over it.
John Daly, Jack Nicklaus,
Under.
Arnold Palmer.
Under.
Oh,
Under.
you're talking about the U.S. Open.
No, I'm talking about this event. This PGA event that's taking place at Kiowa.
I mean the PGA event, but the event this weekend wasn't, or last weekend you said everybody would be under par.
Yes, and it pretty much was.
There you go.
It was a birdie fest.
Yes, well.
I think there was only like 18 guys that were even or plus, and the cut was -6.
Yeah.
And the winner was.
You told me the cut was going to be -7 though. That's what you told me.
Is that what I said? I don't remember that, but if I said -7, then I'm wrong there.
You were close.
That was one
Hand
shot.
grenades.
I mean, somebody missed a birdie.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's get started with the NBA here,
Okay.
and we'll start with this beautiful thing. Money line. Now, I think Tony Mejia, you were on the NBA show today, I think, right?
I was, and I saw this.
He did. So this will be old hat for him. So you're going to take a dog using the money line. The team's coming off a road loss to a divisional foe. Mm-hmm. The opponent's revenging a double-digit home loss. This has to do with the Charlotte Hornets. This morning when I put this together, the line was 2.5, 3, so the money line made a lot of sense. I thought I heard Joe Ranieri say the money line is plus 105 at the end of the show.
Right.
And the points is what, -1 now, or?
Might be down to 1.5. It was a 2. It was a 3 when I saw it earlier, and then little Karis LeVert News knocked it down. It's at 1.5. So
I'm surprised with that LeVert news that it didn't go like flying through Pick'em and make Charlotte a 1 or 2 point favorite. To be honest with you, it just seems like I'm getting a little nervous because it looks too good to be true.
I mean, they've got to show up, but this Charlotte team is interesting because there are guys that are blossoming, like Miles Bridges, who's been really inconsistent in his career. PJ Washington, wishy-washy early, but they're peaking at the right time, and at the same time, the Hornets have lost 5 straight. 4 of them against teams that they were underdogs against, but they're kind of limping in, and Indiana limped in the second half of the season. So, I think the one game intrigue is what carries this one, and hopefully it's a good game.
Oh, I think it will be. We were talking on this show yesterday, Tony Mejia, that I ran a couple queries, and assist turnover ratio was actually improving month by month for the Pacers. And Mr. Finn, Mr. Vino were pretty, leaning pretty good on Charlotte, if I remember correctly. Tell me if I'm wrong. But does the ball handling in a one-game situation like this, does that impact your decision on who to bet on when you see that despite the chaos and the toxicity that Indiana's gone through, the fact that they play no defense, but they obviously take care of the ball, does that have you lean any way towards Indiana?
No, but I mean, the LeVert news is like a deal breaker for me because you have Malcolm Brogdon probably coming back from a hamstring injury. He's missed the last 10 games. So there's got to be some rust there. TJ McConnell coming off the bench, spark plugs, changes games with his steals, and consummate backup point guard. But yeah, I mean, do I worry on the other side that LaMelo Ball in the moment might be too big for him? Nah. Terry Rozier's a proven playoff performer. So from that standpoint, it's like no LeVert, what you're getting in Indiana. And I'll give this away as my pick on this show. I think they're just going to play through Domantas Sabonis. And I think that Sabonis going over 45.5 points, rebounds, assists is a solid bet because he just did it on Sunday. He got to 46, but was questionable for that game too. And I think FanDuel has him recording a triple-double at just plus 165, which is very low. So I think they're expecting a monster game from him, and he's so involved in everything they do on the offensive end. They'll play through him. If guys are knocking down shots, he'll get the assists, and the points and rebounds are given.
I like that idea. And plus 165, you're right. That is low for a triple double. That's almost like a level that you would see for Westbrook.
Right.
So the probabilities are quite high that that could happen easily. Yeah, I didn't even look at that one. Mr. Vino, you have any further input on this game?
Yeah, I think we stated pretty clearly yesterday. I was in Charlotte's corner +3. You know, if you take Charlotte, what you worry about is their last 5 games, as Tony mentioned, and in specific, you worry about their shooting the last 5 games. If you just go by last 5 game statistics, it's the worst 3-point shooting team in the NBA over the last 5 games. They're the second to last field goal percentage shooting team over the last 5 games. Some of that has to do with opposition. Some of that has to do with guys going ice cold. But I don't know that that continues against the Indiana defense. It's interesting. Now, I listened to a really long podcast today with the Indiana beat writer, one of the Indiana beat writers. And it's interesting that Tony brought up playing through Sabonis because this guy is of the opinion that the head coach isn't going to make it till next season. Going to be a firing there, and they're going to start all over again. There's just too much reconstruction to do, and the fact that pretty much the same roster will be coming back with a couple exceptions just doesn't bode well for his communication skills with his team. So he was talking about one of the mistakes that Nate Bjorken made throughout the season, and he was talking to somebody inside the game who told him that one of the biggest mistakes he made was that they played too much through Sabonis as a first option against everybody. It should have been more specialized, and tonight would fit the specialized bill because they would play through Sabonis against centers like Rudy Gobert where he had no chance. But when you play a centerless team like Charlotte, that's the time to play through Domantas Sabonis because they just don't have anybody that can dominate him defensively. So perhaps we do see that tonight. The prop, from what I listened to today, is pretty well stated and stands to reason for sure that Sabonis would have a pretty good night here. If Malcolm Brogdon does not even play, which I think he's going to, but as Tony mentioned, you know, you have to be concerned about a guy with a hamstring who hasn't been able to come back, and now he's just going to try and force feed himself back. How effective he could be. I just think Charlotte, guys, too many good guards that have gone cold. There were scattered injuries throughout the last 10 games, really. P.J. Washington was out for a couple. Miles Bridges was out for a couple. Devontae Graham was out for a few. So now that they're whole again, I just think they're probably the better team. And I don't think they'll be phased in reality by the want to of Indiana to run. T.J. McConnell was quoted as saying, "We have to get the ball tonight, get it out and go." This total has come down simply because Karis LeVert isn't playing. Karis LeVert is a big deal, but the last time Karis LeVert didn't play, I think this team scored 133 points against Milwaukee. So they do what they do, is my point, no matter who's on the floor. But I think Charlotte can escape this one. As bad as their close to the season was, they showed some hurt in the locker room. I think we talked about that yesterday too. LaMelo Ball quoted as saying, "Guys are very down and depressed in the locker room right now. We have one more to go. We have a brand new start." I think they'll approach it that way. I think Borrego's a good motivator. So we'll see. You know, I just think the Charlotte side is the right side. As you guys mentioned, it's down to 1.5 now, half of what it was early this morning before the LeVert news was made public.
Love it, Rob. Love it. So we're in consensus on Charlotte, and we have the prop bet from Tony Mejia. Now, Tony Mejia, are you going to do the triple double prop bet also in addition to the other one?
I may do it personally. I'm not going to give it out to clients, but I mean, it's hinted at in my analysis.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, and if you take a shot, but I would take a shot on that as a 1% play if it was a little higher, if it was like plus 250. But at 165, if he gets to 25 points and 15 rebounds and 8 assists, might as well just stick with my 2% prop.
Huh, did he leave us?
I don't know. So I got quiet. I thought maybe I faded into the background.
Take
Well,
over,
hey.
Joan. Tell us who you like. What do you like
You mean in basketball?
in this Charlotte game? Here comes John. Go ahead.
Oh, that okay.
That was strange. I mean, I
You did a
thought
great job wasting time while you were gone, John.
I thought I was abducted by aliens.
We did too.
They let you keep your trophy though.
Yeah, maybe I should change that and be more humble instead of showing off my hardware.
Well, if listen, John, if you're any more humble, you're gonna put us to sleep. Okay, so let's get excited. Pimp yourself. Tell us how great you are. Come on. That's what I thought.
That's what we thought.
I hear Tony Mejia starting to snore over there. Okay, let's do it. John, who do you like tonight?
I like Charlotte. Like Charlotte a lot.
Yeah. Well, I like Charlotte. A lot would be a lie. It's hard for me to like either one of these two teams a lot. However, you guys, everybody's mentioned the variables that I think are important. This is a young team. This Charlotte team, I believe they're motivated. Anybody that can get excited, up, down, and be as Ball described, painted the picture of who they are. Those are the teams that I like to back. The ones that play with some passion. I'm not saying any of them play with passion, but everything I've read, and Rob mentioned it, this team they're not really keen about the coach. They don't think the coach is going to be back. The coach is actually 2 weeks ago, we talked about it on the show, was basically petitioning for his job, saying he didn't do a very good job here or there, but he's excited about being in Indianapolis and loves his group of players. And can I please keep my job?
Mike D'Antoni's the big name they're mentioning. If they can get
there, you go. Yeah. Yeah, well, nothing like another. You know what?
Jeez.
They may already be grooming this roster for D'Antoni the way they've been playing lately, right?
NBA
Right?
is used on back channels.
Yeah.
You want to get a message to somebody, you can get it.
There it is.
Small circle.
There it is. Yes, there's nothing other than NASCAR. There's nothing like the NBA as far as a man's soap opera, because it's what it is.
This is true.
So, Charlotte, here's the deal. I don't trust. Indiana is. I want to tell you, we talked about some of the games that they've played recently. If there's a team that can score 150 and one night and score 90 the next, it's Indiana. They've done it in the last month. And 90's a little bit of an embellishment. 97, 93 though. Hard to believe. Hard to imagine, and do it still shooting. They're not. It doesn't seem like that they understand what they're doing together out there as a team. Their cohesiveness is not very good, and they have absolutely abandoned the word. They've taken it out of the playbook defense. There's no that. It's not. They don't know how to spell it. They've been brainwashed, and I want the exciting team. I want the teams excited to be there. Albeit they don't have they don't have a traditional. They're not a traditional NBA team, guys. They're just not. They don't have a guy in the middle that's going to be able to be physical and a true rim protector, et cetera, et cetera. But I will say this: I'll take Charlotte tonight. I didn't play this game. I'm outside of this room, but I would be on Charlotte. I gave it away as a free play.
What do you guys make of home court advantage in this non-bubble
Zero.
playoffs?
Well, here's the deal. How do you explain home court advantage in this, Anthony? Because it's nothing like a 13-23 team. That's their home record. Has home court advantage.
Right, exactly, and it's not full capacity. So
exactly, yeah. No, here, do you agree with me, guys? Let me just say this really quickly. Kawhi, okay, LeBron. Some of these teams that we know are the most capable, top to bottom, experience, savvy, understanding what the difference between a regular season game and a postseason game. You look at these totals that have lowered. People want to put it on injuries, this and that. Listen, sharp money isn't going to play any overs when you move from a regular season to the intensity that is postseason NBA. I don't know that I can say that it's going to be that way, but the Kawhi, LeBron, they're happy to just be in the tournament, right? I mean, LeBron doesn't care that he's a playing game. He believes, that group believes that they can go from a playing game to the NBA Finals. Don't doubt it for one reason, they believe it. Because home court means nothing right now.
It will when you get to Philadelphia.
Well, yeah, I think we hit on that yesterday because as of June 10th, which could put you into the second round, then Philadelphia goes to full capacity. And at that point, then maybe we start making something out of
well, LeBron doesn't have to go through Philadelphia to get to the NBA Finals.
But it's not just Philadelphia.
Yeah, I know. I'm kidding.
It'll be them all. And LeBron, to your point, that's all that team needs is extra motivation or an extra accomplishment. Hey, nobody's ever come from a play-in game to win an NBA title, so they will. I want to get back to what Tony and Tony both were talking about, where the NBA is a very small circle. Real quick, where Nate Bjorken is concerned. I heard this today again, and it's funny how things work and how political, and Tony, you work the NBA, you know, but how political things are. Nate Bjorken apparently is an expert X's and O's guy. He also happens to be, because he came from Toronto, very good friends with Nick Nurse. They come from the same territory. He's also good friends with a president or soon-to-be president of the Pacers, I think. I could have that wrong, but the president of an NBA team. And there were a lot of people. The Indiana Pacers made a lot of phone calls doing their due diligence in hiring a head coach. And there were a lot of people that they called who wanted to tell the Pacers, you don't want to hire this guy because he doesn't communicate with his players. He thinks he's the smartest guy in the room, is the knock on him. Player comes to him with advice. No, says right here in the analytics, so you're wrong, I'm right. That's the type of guy that he isn't. A lot of people apparently wanted to tell the Pacers this, but they're afraid that their next job hire might be by Indiana, by Nick Nurse. So you can't burn bridges. So you don't say anything. You don't crush the guy because you're afraid, as small as a community it is, if you wind up on the unemployment line and you're seeking a job and then you have to walk in front of Nick Nurse after you just crushed Nate Bjorken, you're not going to get in that door. So the Pacers were somewhat blind to this guy's lack of communication skills. Malcolm Brogdon is a guy that's been publicly blamed for this. And I tell you guys, this one guy that I listened to wouldn't commit to it, because he hasn't vetted it for himself. He said to him, it's just hearsay. But I can tell you that I remember earlier in the year, I've said this 100 times, reading quotes, from, especially after they won an overtime game, from Malcolm Brogdon, who said, this coach is great. We love this coach. We love this coach. TJ McConnell, as of this morning, was praising this head coach. It's not everybody. It's a fractured locker room, and it's the worst type of locker room to have. Yeah. But it's not exactly Brogdon's voice. Apparently Brogdon and Bjorken were lunch buddies for a long, long time. Go out to lunch. And Brogdon, being the voice of that locker room, kind of had his ear, which other veterans didn't like. So, I mean, Tony Mejia, you're a guy who's probably familiar with hundreds of these types of stories around the NBA, but that appears to be what's going on here. And for that reason, this guy probably doesn't survive. And I don't know. You know, the team's not going to play for the head coach tonight anyway. They're going to play for themselves. They want to win. They don't want to lose. And it's not going to matter who their head coach is tonight. We just hope that we don't get a sit the F down from one of the players to an assistant coach tonight while they're on the floor. But I think Charlotte's far more cohesive.
Well, Kevin Pritchard is extremely respected throughout circles. He's done it.
Very respected. Not just a little bit. You're right, Tony. Really respected.
Really respected, and he as he should. So, does he get a mulligan for this hire? I think it was him and Chris Finch. Bjorken and Chris Finch were among the finalists. He won Pritchard over with an interview that he was very chipper, and obviously, like you said, Rob, everybody said the first 5 or so games and the preseason, wow, this guy is the greatest thing since sliced bread. And then all of a sudden, over the course of 72 games, he graded on all these guys, including assistants.
Yeah.
It takes a different personality to be in it. You can get away with that if you want to be a hard-ass assistant for a Nick Nurse who's known as a player's coach, but then you're elevated to the head seat. You have to change your approach at least a little bit.
Right. And that's what we have here right now with that team. So I don't know. I don't like Charlotte for that reason. in particular, it's just a little side note that I found interesting in what goes on. You guys talked about it being a great man soap opera, and
Yeah,
it is.
it's
all,
good stuff. It's not been near the soap opera that it is when they're allowed to go to strip joints and be a playboy around town the night before games. That's the fun puzzle to figure out, really, in the NBA. But we'll be back to that.
Energy management.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yes.
And in
Tony,
response, real quick, to whether or not Pritchard gets a mulligan, from what I listened to today, the answer is yes. Pritchard's done far too many good things.
Absolutely.
Player acquisition for this team. Got T.J. Warren for peanuts. Built this right. Got Malcolm Brogdon because he had acquired draft choices that he used as capital to get Malcolm Brogdon. So got Karis LeVert, flipped Karis LeVert for Victor Oladipo. So certainly he's built up enough goodwill to where this is just something where he was kind of, in defense of him, he was a little bit in the dark because people were afraid to speak out on the, not the pros but the cons of Nate Bjorken.
To Tony's to Anthony's case, maybe he can verify this or dispute it or tell me to kick it to the curb. But I don't know as nearly as many NBA guys as I know NFL or baseball. But the guys I do know in the NBA, a lot of them are ex. So this could be shaded to some degree, and a lot of them are ex Roy Williams or Larry Brown and Bill. So those guys that are littered all over the college and NBA scene. But they compared Pritchard to Danny Ainge. They said, listen, Pritchard is that kind of he's respected. Now, I said, well, I know 20 people who like Danny Ainge, but I know 120 people who hate Danny Ainge. So that's the deal with that. But that doesn't mean he's not capable. So Tony might comment on that. But Pritchard has been. I think he's well respected, and I think he's a sharp guy. I really do. He learned from some pretty good coaches.
I don't know if you can see on camera that there's this thing, and he still follows me on Twitter from my past life.
Yeah.
Cool. I mean, I used to communicate with a lot of these guys. Some would return your phone call, some wouldn't. I know CBS, so most did. And you got to know them, and you got to see who was smart, who was aloof, who was, and he was definitely one of the most impressive.
Anthony, talk a little bit more about that, especially for the people in the chat room that don't know that background of yours, because it's very, very cool. It's awesome.
I mean, I started out as solely a writer. I got into the handicapping part of it while bracketology and doing college basketball. I think that's my first love bracketology-wise, because college basketball tends to be so easy if you beat numbers and if you know what you're doing. And then obviously football and stuff. So I really enjoyed the handicapping part of it, but there was a time in from 2005 to 10 where I was the CBS's national beat writer for the NBA. So I got to meet a lot of people, and I got to travel to most cities, and it was just something that I would never want to give back, but at the same time, such a tough job, because it's spending all your day reporting and waiting for people to call you back and trading gossip. It can get taxing.
It had to be fun though.
I mean, this time of year, because they'd send me out on the road. I'd be on the road for 2 months, and it would be packed arenas, and you're sitting there watching the thing, and then the stress of deadline and getting something out, a column out, something fresh every night, and then going back to the hotel, and you have to unwind until 3-4 in the morning. So, and it's a tough job. Then you have to be at shoot arounds at 10 a.m. So anybody, and I still have a lot of writer friends there, I'll tell you it's thrilling, but once you get to June, this season, July, it's exhausting. And like the people that did it in the bubble last year, they were sequestered. So
yeah,
it's pretty cool though.
It was. There's plenty of energy in the sequestered arena. Unless you were sneaking off to get food from the best strip joint restaurant in the world.
They say they're really good wings.
Yeah. What do you mean I can't eat there? Damn right I'm going to eat there. These playing games. I don't know how you guys feel about them. Real quickly, I think that I think I have heard people convince me. I've been convinced. I mean, not convinced, but impressed by the argument that this is sliced bread. It's great stuff for the NBA. And then I've also been impressed, and I believe more that this kind of playoff or play-in game, wild card scenario, whatever you guys want to label it, strengthens my case that regular season just means shit. Doesn't mean anything.
Well, now you've got what, 2/3 of the league making the playoffs.
So yeah, right, so, exactly. I mean, I like traditional baseball. I don't like this. Listen, is it good for the bottom line? Probably. It probably is good for the bottom line, especially in baseball, because you keep teams. Listen, there was more fans in the stands.
Yep.
Well, that's probably a bad example. There would have been more fans in the stands last year at the end of the season because of what we had, the scenarios of teams not being out of it until almost the final couple, 3 days of the season, So that's obviously supposed to be better for the bottom line. However, is it better for the game? Is it better for guys? Maybe it is. Maybe I don't matter. Maybe you don't matter if you guys are traditional. I still like defense. I still like a guy going to the rim in a playoff game. If he doesn't get up with blood in his nose for the first time, then that's not basketball. That's not NBA basketball.
Yeah, I know that get away with a little more, and that's why I think the unders are such a heady play early on, especially.
Yeah, I agree.
Now they've made some rules changes, but action will slow down. There'll be less fouls called, and coaches will have their fingerprints on stuff.
We talked about. You missed that show yesterday too, Tony. We talked about that. I think that's a variable that I would like to hear your opinion on. And Rob and I talked about it. I didn't have an answer. I don't know that Rob did, but you see, I saw I watch a lot of NBA. I think you do too. Rob does. I think the officiating was absolutely pathetic early on in this year. With no fans, they really don't listen. They hear everything the players say now with no noise. There may have been a few more technicals than there was prior with fans in the stands, but I didn't see the homer aspect of the NBA has never been huge for me. Although if you look at the numbers, it matters a little bit, especially straight up. But I saw fouls called, 3-point fouls from the official under the bucket with 5 guys between him and the guy he's calling for a foul. And I don't see those kind of things happen in years past like I did this year. And it was done by, and I'm not, I know we probably have some ladies in the audience, but I think these guys are distracted by these female officials.
Well, I think
it's a joke. Go ahead.
I think the biggest deal is the biggest problem for the NBA, the two-pronged superstar calls, because they're far too prevalent, and then the last 2-minute report being completely useless.
Oh, and what is that?
Annoying everybody the next day.
Yeah, it annoys me to think about it.
Because in our world, you don't want to hear that you lost a bet because they blew multiple calls.
Yes.
And it happens. It happens.
Yeah, I didn't hear I won any because of that. That's for damn certain.
We never do.
We don't remember.
Let me just say this to the as a counter and a very small counter argument to the regular season means nothing.
Okay.
One of the participants tonight, it means a hell of a lot to, right? The Washington Wizards were so banged up to start the year, and they were out of the playoff picture. And without this play-in, they would have never had a hope to be there. Then they got whole, and their record the last few months has gotten increasingly better. I think they finished with a 12-5 straight-up record this month. So without this system, Washington probably would have tanked from February on, but with the possibility of catching people and being in a playoff with a team that heading into the season, I think why they're different is because when they acquired Westbrook, there were expectations that went along with that. I know between them and the Hawks in the East, the Hawks were a very, very trendy preseason pick because of off-season acquisitions. And Bogdanovich went, as was Washington. Oh, they're going to be a lot better now because Wall's gone and Westbrook is in, and they can do some stuff. And without this play-in format, they don't even get this opportunity whatsoever. So to some, it means something. To others that know they can coast through and get there, it probably does mean nothing, Tony. You don't have to play defense every night. A compressed schedule probably had a lot to do with that this year, where teams didn't exert themselves every single night because you're on so many back-to-backs. They tried to keep teams in the same city in order to prevent a lot of travel. So it's somewhat unique in that regard. But I do think if they keep it, it's sort of for those teams that may get key injuries at season's beginning and still want to hold hope till their players get back. Washington's a prime example of that. This team could absolutely end up with the 8 seed or the 7 seed after tonight. And, it'd be a great example of what the play-in tournament can help, how they can help.
I couldn't argue with any of that. And that you're right. But I'm talking about as a whole. We're talking about, you're talking about a couple teams, right? Well, here's the other thing. I would have, 2 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, Tony, Rob, Mr. John Vegas, I would have said there's not one team that's going to be in the play-in that has Donkey Arse's chance of being the champion. I would have to say that I have to digress because I guess I have to say the Lakers do have a chance, don't they?
Lakers have a chance.
Right. Everybody has a chance, right?
First minus 500 that this stays. I mean, it's a lot. They like it.
Yeah.
And it helps teams like a Charlotte this year that's building something.
True. No doubt about it. You're right.
Minnesota next season.
Rob said, you guys are both right. I don't know. What does the regular season really? I mean, it means something for, like you just said, Tony, for Charlotte. They get another chance. Not only but they have to win tonight. They got to win again. I want to be the coach playing Charlotte in the first round. They're already tired by the time they hit game 1 of the first round series. Whoever wins, especially if you're coming from the game from the 9th to 10th play. You know what I mean? So
that's the game that it helps teams the most. The 1 through 8. And that's why Dirk Dirk was so angry that what the heck, we're one of the top 8 teams you should be in. Why should we have to play in? But it wasn't until he got to 7th place that he was worried about it. And it's why LeBron completely flip-flopped on his initial statement with how great it was going to be for the league. And then when he was in 7th place, somebody needs to be fired because, God forbid, the Kings should be in 7th place and have to go through it. So, it is what it is. It's
a soap opera. I love it. I really love it. I do. I love the NBA. I love the regular season of the NBA. I love regular season. And I don't know, you and I, all this together, we know. Most people, you mean the NBA season's underway? Playoffs started? No. Well, I'm not watching till the damn playoffs start. That's what, that's the way they are.
Guys, since I don't know, how do television rights, playoff television rights, work in the NBA? Are they still split amongst the league? Or if a team like Charlotte makes it in, do they get extra money for being televised in a 7-game series? I mean, does it go strictly to them? How does it work?
I think it's collective.
Yes.
Collective. Okay, so it doesn't really matter.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's collective. It's not. It's collective. It's a privately. It's not the NCAA. That's for certain.
Right. We're like in college, an individual university is going to get paid for making a bowl appearance or a playoff appearance or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, quickly, let's move on to the Celtics and the Wizards game. A tale of two cities here for sure. Washington is soaring into the playoffs, no pun intended. Westbrook has, 12 of the last 16 games, a triple-double. Boston lost Jaylen Brown and was losing before that happened. And seems like two teams going in opposite directions. Let's start with Anthony on this game. Any lean, any best bet here? I'll tell you right now, I'm leaning Washington.
I mean, I think we need to see how Bradley Beal looks early. Might be an in-game spot, even though I did give out a pick on this game. But his first 3 quarters, in that must-win against Charlotte were abysmal, and he looked like he shouldn't have even been out there. And then in the fourth, he found a rhythm and helped them win. So, I mean, you're going to need your 20 to 25 points from him. You're going to need Westbrook there at the end was playing, just setting people up left and right. All right, Bertans needs the ball here. I'm going to get it to him. The assist numbers were astronomical. him and Robin Lopez have a nice dynamic where he can get Lopez the ball into spots. So I'll give you my prop out of this game. I like Westbrook over assists and rebounds because I think if he's got to score 30 for you, you're in a lot of trouble if you're Washington. He's got to have Beal step up at about 75-80%, which will still get you over 20. He's got to have somebody else. Neto was pretty good down the stretch. Make key shots. Hachimura, who he was trying to prop up all season, he's got to show up. If you're Boston, it's just a matter of who do you believe in on this team, because I only believe in Jason Tatum. I think Kemba Walker's taking a step backwards. Evan Fournier just got there and he scored well of late, but I see him in Orlando very closely, and he has lapses on the defensive end, and if he's not hitting shots, he's killing you. And you got Marcus Smart, who's he's going to help you on the defensive end, but he's not hitting shots. Then you're struggling to score. So it's. To me, this is obviously the more riveting game because it is two teams filled with household names. That one of them is going to have to play their way in on Thursday.
So they've played 3 times already. Boston won 2 of the 3 regular season meetings already. Both wins were at home. A loss occurring in Washington. Tatum averaged almost 32 a game in those victories, but scored just 6 in the loss. Beal, who you mentioned is injured, so we can't expect him to average 40.7 with a high of 46 against the Celtics. But Westbrook didn't record a single triple-double in those 3 games, which almost sounds like so stupid for anybody to actually say, like, well, he didn't have a triple-double in 3 games. Well, he should be benched. But does this put more pressure on Westbrook now to score and take the pressure off of Beal? And like you said, I think Beal, if he scores 20 or more, and Westbrook, between the two of them, if they post a triple-double, they should be in pretty good shape. Do you guys agree with that?
Go ahead, Tony Finn.
Well, let me just say this and make it short, and that is, I don't, and you guys comment. I like to hear what you have to say. I think Boston has a lot more question marks than just Jaylen Brown. With Jaylen Brown, the switching defense that they were horrendous this year. This is a team that's hung their hat on defense, and they were supposed to be that defense last year that would be able to stop Toronto, Miami in this play. That they were the team. They had the young kids, Brown, and so forth and so forth. But listen. I don't want to hear this. If I hear it, I'm going to go play more. I'm going to just give it away. I'm going to play more money on the Wizards. If I hear one more thing that these two teams are going different directions, and that means a lot, because this Celtics team, they're the bloodline here. They're the ones that are supposed to win tonight. They're the ones that the league want in the playoffs. Definitely the network wants in the playoffs. I wouldn't say it as much as. Washington has a following. Washington has a following. I like Washington. I've liked them ever since they used to be Guns, the Washington Guns, the Bullets. And long story short is they're playing well. They're playing well. And this game comes down to two things for me. I'll know, as Anthony said, if Beal is in the first 5 minutes takes the ball to the rim at least twice, Washington wins this game. Boston cannot defend the paint. I was a big, Rob, how many shows did we do last year when I said this Boston team's going nowhere? They can't stop. Anytime you put a quality big, not that Washington has that quality big, but anybody that's quality in the paint, team as a whole or a big, and granted, don't make a mistake. Beal's strength is taking this ball to the rim. Once these guys decisively take the ball to the rim, he and Westbrook, and they both are capable, it makes that 3-point shot so much easier. It's stupid. It is absolutely stupid. And Beal, he's not the best shooter in the world, but he's become a pretty good shooter. And Westbrook, he's over the top great shooter. 1 out of every 4 or 5 games. We don't know where we're going with Westbrook. He's the best and Tony, who covered the NBA, he's known for taking the ball to the rim. Strong, fearless, absolutely fearless. Those two guys do that, they win tonight. And I think they win convincingly. That's just my take.
I love it. So everybody talked about this game, right?
I'll go real quick, John, because
Okay.
we talked about the game itself. I'll just hit on the total a little bit. And we all understand, been in this business a long time, that playoffs mean things tighten up, defenses get better, blah, blah, blah. We pointed out a couple of series last year where that wasn't the case. Now, the bubble may have been a reason for it, but the Denver-Utah series last year never slowed down. It was Donovan Mitchell against Jamal Murray every night, and the games went over. And Boston-Miami was the other one. Games went over all the time. And as Tony Finn was saying yesterday, the adjustments in total prices last year, I thought were over-aggressive. Like a series would start game 1, 219, Miami-Boston. And I'm rattling off the top of my head. I don't have it in front of me.
That's correct.
But
that's accurate.
It would be an over, and the next game would be 215.5. And then it would see an over, and the next game would be 212. And just down to where, and I said this yesterday, but the NBA tip-off fans will remember that last year I just used to have a little mantra. Miami's going to find their way to 106 points because they had done it game in, game out, game in, game out. And they did. And when you start calculating just plain mathematics, one team's going to get to 106. The game's in the pick-em to 3.5 point spread vicinity. So the other team's going to get to 106. And how can you not play over 211? How can you not play over 212? And they're going over those numbers anyway. So certain matchups, certain styles make things. This might be one of those tonight, guys, because, yes, Russell Westbrook, the pace is relentless when he's on the floor. But I think a forgotten guy where pace is concerned is Ish Smith. Ish Smith runs up and down the floor as fast as Russell Westbrook, and this team plays extremely fast. The game they played the other day against Charlotte with Beal on a bad hamstring, and Tony mentioned, I think he's like 8 for 25, 7 for 25 in that game. It wasn't good. But I use a little thing called potential points scored. If every single basket, every single free throw, every shot in a game went in the basket, what would the game have total point-wise? And that game got up to 494 if every shot had gone in the basket in that game. Now, I'm going to double up on that by saying that Boston, in their final game of the season, played a game against Minnesota where it got to 511. Now, guys, the numbers that I use here, the league average for a game is 454. So I'm talking about two teams that are 30, 40, 50 points over that potentially every single game. So for Boston, and I know I'm repetitive here, defense, Tony said it first, I'll reiterate it. It's been thrown out the window. Brad Stevens is a defensive-minded coach. This group just can't play defense. And when you I know Marcus Smart is a pest, but the quickness advantage out on the perimeter of Westbrook, of Neto, of Ish Smith against Kemba, who, at times has shown some flashes, but he's not the same quickness Kemba. And then having nobody to defend the rim other than Tristan Thompson, it's problematic for the Celtics in two regards. Number one, they may not get the basket, but Washington's great at drawing fouls. And they're a good foul shooting team. Westbrook aside, sometimes he comes and goes. His free throw shooting has actually gotten worse throughout his career. But Beal's a great foul shooter. Smith and Neto, all these guys are good foul shooters. Bertans is the three-point maker. Garrison Matthews, the kid from Lipscomb University, is a great three-point shooter as well. So I just think all the elements are here for this to be an up-and-down game. Plenty of points. Jason Tatum and Bradley Beal happen to be very good friends. Bradley Beal was quoted today as saying, when it's all said and done, Jason Tatum is going to be 100 times better than I am. Jason Tatum can take matters into his own hands. The backups on this team for the Celtics are capable of scoring. We've seen Pritchard have some really nice games. Peyton Pritchard, the kid from Oregon. So I think it's going to still play to the over. I really do. I think this game has come down. It's been a little hesitant line-wise because we don't know Beal's condition for sure. We know it's not 100%, definitely. And the total has been hovering around. I mean, it started at 234.5, comes down to 232. I just think those injury-based numbers are wrong. I think pace of play is going to be huge, and it probably still gets over. First half, full game, however you would like to play it. I think they're both in play here just because the styles. I don't think either team has the ability to change styles, guys. We're looking at 4 Eastern Conference teams tonight that none of the 4, which would you claim to be the best defensively? And whichever it is still a below average defense. They're all terrible on the defensive end. Maybe Washington is the best of them all. I don't know. I don't want to leave out Rui Hachimura, who can score 20 plus as well. So I think this game probably gets over. One of those games where I think the old adage doesn't stand here, that playoffs tighten up. I think this will be a free and loose game, and we'll get our share of points.
We saw some last year. You're right.
We Teddy, Ski, and I all went under on this game.
I'm a lone wolf. Beautiful.
Yes, and the reason why is because the total is 233, and I think all 3 regular season meetings this season have gone under, and then the two last year. But now, in support of what you're saying, going from Jaylen Brown to Evan Fournier on the defensive end on the wing is like going, from a Ruth Chris to an Applebee's for a steak. So it is something that Stevens can't mask. But Russ sometimes gets into those streaks where he can't hit a lick and he's still shooting jumpers. I don't think we'll see that tonight. So, I'm in on the under on this play, but you're scaring me a little bit.
To the point of undertone, I saw this and I still refuse to play under, but Washington was healthy in all 3 of their games against Boston. It's not like Bradley Beal didn't play. It's not like Russell Westbrook didn't play. In those 3 games, I'll just read you what I had from yesterday. Boston was the team without players. They first of all, they haven't played since February 28th, 2.5 months ago. And the evolution with Brad Stevens and the philosophy here, hey, I don't have the defense, that evolution really takes place the last 2.5 months where they become a team that gives up, 118, 119 like it's candy. But in February 28th, Jaylen Brown didn't play and Marcus Smart didn't play. Boston was shorthanded. Wizards were not. They only missed Thomas Bryant. February 14th, they played. Marcus Smart didn't play, nor Robert Williams. Washington had their full squad, no injuries. January the 8th, Boston was without Kemba, Grant, and Robert Williams, and Tristan Thompson, so no rim protection whatsoever. That game only got to 223. It didn't get to 233, which is required tonight. Washington had their full squad, but the only counter to that, I would say, is that Boston was still a team that was attempting to play some type of defense at that point in time. Davis Bertans wasn't really that effective because he was in and out of the lineup at that point in time, but he played there. And Daniel Tice, for what it's worth, all those were before the trade deadline, and Daniel Tice was on all 3 of those Boston teams, maybe the best defender that they had, and now he's gone. To
your point, Rob, let me tell you something else.
Yeah.
One of the reasons they're better defensively, if you look at the numbers, Kemba, how much percentage of the game Kemba had the ball in his hands on those pick and rolls? Listen, the pick and roll, Boston's last year's pick and roll with Kemba, this year's Kemba, night and day. The percentage of time he has the ball in his hands. Now, granted, he was injured some, especially early on, but they're not nearly as offensively efficient. And when they were much better efficient-wise last year, which in turn transitions make you better defensively. And they just no Kemba, no efficient Kemba, no pick and roll, not like last year's. No postseason advance for the Celtics.
Yeah, and I'd venture to say that if Kemba has assets left, and believe me, I don't want to bury the guy. I'm a UConn guy. I love Kemba Walker. But I would say that if he has an asset, it's on the offensive end, and he's worse on the defensive end. I think
without question,
Kemba Walker on the defensive end nowadays when you have quickness and just knowing the way that Russ relentlessly goes to the rim, I could see that guy on the free throw line a dozen times tonight. I really could. So we'll see. And Tony, you mentioned his playmaking in the last game. He's kind of Bradley Beal actually was quoted as saying Russell Westbrook is the guy that motivates him. So it's interesting when you go through past places that Russ has been and some of the derogatory things that have been said about him as a teammate. I know, as a Seattle Supersonics fan as a kid, I moved over to the Oklahoma City Thunder, and I never really believed that Russell Westbrook was the issue. Players will say it. Maybe I just didn't want to believe it, but he doesn't seem to be the problem here. He played for Scotty Brooks before. seems to be coming into his own right now with this team. He and Beal as a duo. So we'll see what happens. But the fact that the four of us are against each other, me, you, he, and who was the other guy at NBA Tip-Off today?
Teddy.
Oh, my God. I'll have to text Teddy.
That was his best bet.
Oh, Teddy.
We just agree with him. If
one of us.
If I'm Russell Westbrook, the first thing I'm doing is I'm trying to get Robert Williams out of the game because he can erase a lot of mistakes. I don't think Daniel Gafford was a part of the Wizards in either of these three meetings, so he's an X factor. But yeah, I mean, look, you make great points, and I think the number's high. It can get there though. It's just a matter of how healthy Beal is and whether we get a ref show in any capacity.
They're not. Listen, Washington is not the most efficient. For a team that plays at the pace they play at, they are not the most efficient offensive team. Look at what their average points per game, their pace. If you do your own efficiency, you would have to agree they're not the most efficient.
Yeah, they're not, Tone. They're two volume teams, and if you play over like I am, you're banking on volume. And the other thing that you bank on here is end of game in a game that's in this price range. You're expecting it to be close, and you're expecting fouls at the end. You want to see free throws at the end of this game. You want to see in that 4 to 6 range where you get 11, 12 points in the last minute. So just a couple of things. Those that are watching that don't know how we arrive at conclusions that we arrive at when we're betting these games, and for those of you that want to see, those of us that have been doing it a long time, you want to see us give you two different sides or two different opinions of a game. Here's what bookmakers love. They got Teddy, Ski, and Tony on one side. They got me on the other. Tony Finn will not join me there, so it's me against
Scott Foster, crew chief tonight.
Well, wait.
Oh, we love that.
You love that.
Yeah, I do love that.
There's not enough whistles. There are not enough whistles in the stands.
So.
I have support for Rob. While you guys were talking, I did a little,
saved his life.
You said the modeling that Las Vegas Chris loves it when I say the word models.
I didn't pay for this.
The score of this game based on the line is 117-115 Boston. Okay, so I'm sure you want to know how Boston or Washington does when they score 115 to 125 points, because there's an 85% probability based on the models that they will score within that range. When they do that, they're 46-21-2 against the spread, and why I like the Wizards. The over, which I didn't calculate till just now, is 50-19 for 73%. Should the model be wrong and that 15% creeps up where they score less than 115, so in ranges of 105 to 115 points for the Wizards, they're 21-45 against the number, which is crap. And the over-under is 30-36. What's the jury's decision now?
We'll definitely see a lot of, final 30 seconds, 35 seconds. Russ 2 for 1. That's what he does. He gets down. So those always help the over cause. So, I tell you what, I was torn on this game. And then thinking about it, I said it is awfully high for an elimination game.
I agree.
Or for an advancement game.
Yep.
They obviously move on to Thursday. But that was basically it. But yes, having Scott Foster out there tonight is.
Well, what you need is those games that Boston fell behind by 26, and then all of a sudden come roaring back and get within 4 or 5, and then you have a ball game again, and then that would put the under in jeopardy. But I think you have to have that to get over this number. To be honest with you, I definitely like the Wizards better than the total for sure.
What I need to see is if Tim Donaghy has had any contact with Scott Foster before this game.
Do they go to strip joints?
I got to tell you something, John, real quick, and I'll get into stories at another time, but the guy lived about 20 minutes from where I live. My sons went to school about 5 minutes from his house. Cool. And the stories that neighbors tell about this kook and other guys. I coached high school basketball with a guy who actually his brother-in-law was an NBA ref. I won't mention names, but he was an NBA ref for a lot of years, retired about 5 or 6 years ago. And it's very funny, John. In our area, the Philadelphia area, a lot of NBA referees came from there. Especially, I'm forgetting the name of the high school now, and my kid played basketball there. But
West
at
Philly?
any rate, no. I'll think of it after a while. But anyway, they're all centralized. A bunch of them, like 8 to 10 of key referees were there, and they all knew Donaghy, and they all, I met up with a couple of these guys, including my friend's brother-in-law at Jersey Shore. We were invited down to Sea Isle one time, and they were just swapping back stories about this kook. Oh dear Lord, he had some problems. And if you were betting overs back then with him as your lead official, you were doing pretty darn good.
Yeah.
Pretty darn good.
That's a
I've
cool
got
story.
a Tim Donaghy story too. I'll save it for another time. Just remind me.
Yeah, we'll do it off air.
All right.
Okay.
That's
Well, I
no
know
fun.
we wanted to get to the baseball, but we're kind of running out of time on the show. I'm gonna take 2 or 3 minutes and just show what we're working on. So it gives you something to come back and look forward to for tomorrow's show. So Mr. Vino and Mr. Finn, we're talking about 5.5 inning games, and then what happens to the result if the one team is winning, tied, or losing. So I'm going to just read off the records for this purpose of this show, and then I'm going to dress up the slides, make them real nice and shiny and pretty, and then we can really dive deep into it, because one of the factors in this is multiple run innings. And from the initial machine learning stuff I've done, that parameter is huge in this first 5 inning exercise. So looking at home favorites that are leading after 5 innings, I just lost it now. They are 158-28 for 85% this season, 39% ROI. The run line 125-61 for 67% and a 54% ROI. So the run line is even better than the straight up if the home favorite is leading. Now, if we go to home dogs. Straight up 67-15 when leading after 5 for 82%. That's a 87% ROI. Run line 74-8, because they're dogs.
Right.
90%, 58% ROI. Now we go to home favorites of between minus 100 and minus 150. 78-16, 83%, 47% ROI, 61-33 on the run line for 65% ROI. And the average, $100 better doing this on the run line would be up $6,145 as we speak. Away. We have away favorites between minus 100 and minus 150. 60-12. That percentage is pretty high. That is 83.3. ROI 49%. Run line 50-22, 60% ROI. Now I'll just read off just one other one here. Let's look at this one. Okay. Away team leading by 2 runs or more after the 5th. 134-9, 94%, 64% ROI, 123-20 on the run line. And that's the surprising thing with this whole thing that I'm reading off, is the run line is the key. And that is 123-20, 86%, 82% ROI. The $100 better is up a ridiculous $13,530. And that is ridiculous.
No,
So we'll-
John, real quick, did you go ahead and run how many times it was tied after 5 innings?
I did. Let's see where it is here. Okay, so in the query you have to identify a site and tied. So I did away tied. 49.52 straight up. ROI 1.6%. Run line 64 and 37, 14% when tied after 5 and being the road team.
So 101 games so far have been tied after 5.
That's correct.
That's not a lot.
And the under is 71 and 27 for a 38% ROI in when games are tied. And logically, that makes sense to me because if the game's tied, you're trying to get that run.
To this point in time, can the computer tell you how many games have been played, not including tonight, just up until tonight? Do we know how many games have been played in Major League?
Sure. Let me just switch over here.
I mean, that seems like an unbelievable amount of opportunities to bet first inning run line, full game run line, and cash both bets and be making money hand over fist.
That's yeah, and that's why I want to add a couple more parameters like multiple run innings, scored an inning. What scored in innings is the number of times a team scored in an inning. One or more runs. So we have played 707 games, if my math is right.
So 600.
No. Wait, hold up. 607.
Okay, so 506 games have had a run line winner after 5 innings, and the same run line winner at the end of the game, full game.
Yep.
Jesus.
So it goes against the what we're hearing, especially.
Well, last year was that's people are still believing that what we have this year we had last year, and bullpens imploded. It was different. There was some differences last year. Spring training was different, et cetera. But you're right, John. I see. Evidence is there's no reason to shy away from full game plays. And
what I'll do tomorrow for the show is I'll get a slide together that shows the average runs scored per inning, because my mind is telling me that the number of runs scored in the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th will be greater than during the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th, or the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Yeah, Tone, that's where people are meshing things together, right? Because when the bullpens blow up, it's affecting totals, not game winners. And because it affects their totals, they're just meshing the whole thing together and saying, oh, I can't trust the bullpen to bet a full game run line.
Listen, I did a show. You're right. I did a show. I did one with Matt. And Matt actually, he said, the only way I play games is I'm playing first 5 or I'm playing over on everything. Well, he said this was just a couple weeks ago. I didn't challenge it because it was just the two of us and Drew. Mm-hmm. But I don't think I haven't gotten the numbers or broke them down. But I assure you that you're not getting rich playing overs. Not with the ball, not with the runs.
Not in the first 5.
No. Or listen. Full game. The ball exit velocity is still there, but run production is down.
Yeah,
you will get some, won't we? Guys, we'll get a little bit more now that we only have 2 games, for instance, tonight. Only 2 games under 60 degrees. So spring and summer have arrived.
Right. And then things go up a little. Yeah. Way to bring that one to our attention, Tony Finn.
What?
To put numbers to that. I mean, full game run line.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
It's become a myth. Yes. Yeah, it is. I know that. But, I have a rule. I do not play run lines on home teams. And there's only a couple things I've done right in my life. One is I've still married 27 years. Somehow I survived that. And I've never played a home run line in the MLB. I don't care. Tell me you baked it in. Tell me you've baked the price in. I will tell you the cake sucks. I'm not eating it.
I know, but even John's numbers are showing us you can't really shy away from those either.
I can do whatever I want. I'm Tony Finn.
Well, you can, but I mean...
I'm just kidding. No, you're right. No, there's a lot of things that I say you can destroy. And a lot of what I say isn't necessarily... I can't statistically or financially support them with any evidence, but it's just the way I'm comfortable doing that,
You guys are
no, we're not
more plugged into baseball than me, especially right now. But tell me, is Bailey over? Save me some work after this and some running Is Bailey Ober an opener, or is he going to make his debut after that, whatever it was, 14-1, 15-1 game, and like be counted on the pitch 5 innings?
Homer Bailey?
No,
not Homer
Bailey
Bailey
Ober.
Homer Bailey would be a
I
blind
have-
fade.
Homer!
Tony, I have to believe he's an opener, but I'm going to check their bullpen pitch
He
count
is.
real quick.
Listen, you want me to tell you exactly how many pitches he's going to throw?
Sure.
50? 50?
You're going to label him an opener, Tony. Certainly, if he goes 6 innings, it's because he has 9 pitches through 3 innings.
Because you can't trust a starter wearing number 82.
No,
I know John's got some on that somewhere.
Hey, there you go. No, you listen. I don't trust too many starters, period, really. But 82. Oh, 82 is a pretty good year.
I was 4.
I was 32. What? 4?
Yeah.
Oh no, I was 22. I'm sorry. 22. When I was 22, it was a pretty good year. I was still had the ambition to be a college student until I was 60, and never have to defer my loans for 40 years.
Very
And
nice.
then when I turned 30, though, the girls started kind of shying away from me, saying, "Who was that old man that just winked at us?" I'm 30 years old. Come on, man.
You don't want to be the old man at the college bar, that's for sure.
No, you don't. And you are at 28, 29. You're the old man.
Answer this quick, Tony Finn. Yesterday we had at the end of the show a real quick discussion. I won't play, for clients at least, I won't play totals in the first game of a series because I don't know the home plate umpire 30 minutes before. Now, you said you become more liberal, and you played 2 of them last night. You cashed them both.
3
of them. Cashed them all?
3 of them. Cashed them all.
Did you get good
because
umpires?
I do have some. I will share it with you, but I'll deny it in any other time. And that is, I have a source who does a really good job of telling me where the crews are going to be, and they're not 100%, but he has some sources, some form. Long story short, the she that does this and gives me this information is this, and that is, for the most part, right now, robots, the new generation of umpires, and there's a lot of them guys, a lot of the old, the guys, they're gone, they're leaving fast, and some of them can't leave fast enough, but for the most part, they are those robots, the ones that are graded and tenured based on the K zone and their grades. There's not a huge difference between a big zone and a small K zone, not like when they didn't have the computer ratings and grade system for the umpires who had their own zone. And those were the great days when the 3 of us, we could sit around. Once we would be retired if we were smart. We'd have our own islands. We have naked girls serving us margaritas. Life would be good, but they took all that stuff away from us. So.
Well, it's pretty good now, though. I mean,
It is. The life's good. My wife's not naked when she serves me margarita, but it's still good. It's still good margarita.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Thank God there's no over-unders on that.
Yeah. It's not my wife, really. It's me that you don't want to see run around the neighborhood naked. And I threaten to do it. I threaten all the time.
Tell you, I just get worried for you when
Don't be.
You say your name and Joe D'Amico in the same sentence.
Joe D'Amico.
Yep.
Listen.
He's Thursday and Friday, by the way, so we have 2 days.
I can get a lot of work done when Joe's on the show.
Now, why is that, Tony?
Because he talks more than me, and that's ridiculous.
You two were on a roll that day. That was just fun
Yeah.
to sit back and. I wasn't even a host. I was an observer.
Well, that's a good host. A good host is an observer,
Yeah.
and one that sends the checks to the guests.
So let's go around the horn. You don't have to do any analysis. Just a recap of your best bets, and we'll put a bow on this thing. We'll let people, go have dinner with their girlfriends or their wives or their dogs or whatever. And so will we. So let's start with Rob Vino, and I'll go last.
Well, as much as I just spoke about not doing things for client service, I do some things myself because I don't mind toying with my own money as opposed to toying with clients' money. So, Tone, without knowing the home plate umpire, In the Miami-Philadelphia game, Petit against Zach Wheeler, I played under, not knowing if I'll get an over umpire or under. But the Phillies lineup right now just injury riddled. Miami's lineup certainly not hitting at this point in time, even though they got Jazz Chisholm back.
What did you play? You played under?
Yeah.
What if I told you my email is, and it's not, I don't know, but it announced Scott Berry as the home plate umpire. This is who I got. And Scott Berry is about as hitter friendly as they come.
Yeah, I have to go back and hedge out of my bet, right? If I know Scott.
Well,
Berry.
I'm just saying, make sure you find out. It's not 100%, but if it's that crew for the most part, it is not quite. They have a little tighter zone, is all.
Absolutely. Scott Berry's been that way for years.
He sure has. He doesn't have to get graded either. He's one of those guys that's grandfather. He's not under the same pressure that some of these newbies are. That you get some bad grades or bad call that you may not get. First off, you're never going to get those promotions. The Angel Hernandez has been begging for and fighting for and lying about for years and years. And I loved it under tonight. Guess who the umpire is? Angel Hernandez. I ran screaming like a little girl from that play.
And you just bet the road team with Angel Hernandez. You're going to be right a pretty good amount of time because he just loves. I don't know what it is about him.
Well, he loves controversy. He loves drama.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I don't want to say he's got an agenda, but he umps like he's got an agenda all the time, and it's anti-home team trying to piss somebody off every time he gets behind the plate. So
he's not. He's angry. He's angry.
He's an angry man. But anyway, real quick, some of the particulars behind that play for under, if we minus out home plate umpire from the equation. Anybody watching before you bet it, please check home plate umpires. What I do on my own is quite separate from what I would actually recommend somebody pay.
There's a disclaimer. What I do. What is that disclaimer, Rob? What you watch here, don't do at home, or something like that.
Right.
Well, what you watch Tony do not do at home.
Charles Barkley, I am not a role model for your kids.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Miami just not hitting the ball right now. Zach Wheeler's been phenomenal for this team. Possibly one of their best starters. Miami's bullpen not too bad. I think Wheeler gets through 7 innings in this game. I think Petit will get through 5 pretty clean on his own against that injury-riddled lineup. So for me, when I saw it was a choice of playing first 5 under or playing full game under. I took full game, even though I'm somewhat scared of the Philly bullpen. But I think Wheeler can get enough done into deeper innings. And I like Miami's bullpen better. So if Petit goes shorter innings, that doesn't bother me either. I'm going to play it under the 7.5 here.
Miami, 7.5? Yeah.
7.5.
You might, if you're telling people, I think there's probably going to be I think there very well may be, if people understand Scott Berry, then you might get an 8 closer to first pitch. Maybe it might be a heavy 8. To the under, but so
that's why we wait him out a little bit.
Right.
Yeah. All right, so let's go to Anthony and his best bet quick.
Well, I think I'm going to blindly pay Bailey over, who I've never heard of. He's from Charlotte, looking at his little bio. And I just don't believe that in the revenge factor in baseball. It's just such a different game. And you got Lance Lynn on the mound with a 1.30 ERA, 4-1. Pitching really well, even with all the injuries. White Sox have a pretty solid lineup. Moncada and Mercedes at 3-4, and Eaton at 5, even batting 219. But and the Twins, maybe they're playing games with the White Sox because they ain't like the Astudillo giving up that home run yesterday.
Oh wow! Yeah.
Mercedes,
but they have not released their lineup, so not sure what's going on there. So I will blindly play that as my. Probably I'll look for more, but definitely going to release a baseball play. And then I mentioned the 2 props I'm on in these basketball games. Russell Westbrook over 26.5. This was at BetMGM. 26.5 rebounds and assists. I think he's good for 15 assists and 12 boards, and probably more. I don't think he leaves the court for more than 4 minutes. So, I'm confident in that one. And then Domantas Sabonis also over 45.5, I believe, and that was at FanDuel. And again, I don't see him getting into foul trouble, which means you're good for at least 7 assists, and his usual double doubles are 25 and 12. So
I want to one you asked me, I didn't really have a definitive answer for you, Tony, or a knowledgeable one about Bailey, And so I just sent an email. While you asked me, I went ahead and sent the email to a guy I know that is in the Twin Cities there and covers both. He covers college basketball in that area, and he also covers the Twins. And he basically said, "Listen, he said, Tony, I'll answer all your questions." He has a 1.29 ERA in AAA, and that answers a lot of my questions. First off, it's very possible that if he pitches well enough, he could exceed 4 innings. But more than anything else, AAA is not the top of the farm system. AA is the top of the farm system, and AAA is typically a carryover for long-term, for long-standing professionals that can make $100,000 playing baseball, and they're typically called up on 2 or 3 occasions during the year as injury replacements or double header fill-ins, whatever the case may be. He didn't expand it at all. So my guess is, what exactly did you play on with what was he played?
It's White Sox money line 140.
Okay, very good. I like the play, not because I love Lance Lynn, but because I think Minnesota is a team in trouble right now. They're yesterday's game. Some of the money line, some of the prices to the last 2 nights on that Minnesota team, I didn't understand, especially with the White Sox 2 nights ago when they were facing a left-hander, and basically I got $1.50 on the run line.
Nobody got that line, and that's what kept me off of it because what was it, 22-3 going in or whatever it was.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then the fact that it was what it was.
We don't get that. Yeah. But I would say this: I think the Twins are pretty serious fade right now, and I think you're on the right side. So I'm rooting for you.
That kid is 6'9". Bailey Ober is 6'9". Holy
yeah, they say that he appears to be handing the ball to the catcher, but it's still getting. There's a difference. Let me tell you guys. I don't have to tell you. What's the difference between AAA and the mothership, Major League Baseball? It's canyon. It's gargantuan. It's wider, deeper, and darker than the Grand Canyon. Yeah.
And he's 25 and 6'9" and hasn't made it yet.
Yeah. He should be. He should be playing. I have a job. He has a job.
All line paid.
Yeah, let's put him in the middle for Charlotte tonight, or for Washington tonight, playing the true big rim protector. There you go.
There you go. Better idea. My
free play, real quickly. I know you guys want to get out of here. My free play tonight is, I say run line on the visiting team, of course. This Bubak, who's got to be Canadian with a name like that, I'm assuming.
Woodruff. Jazz player.
Yeah. Woodruff -1.5, -110 at the K against the Royals team that in April thought they were going to win the World Series, and now they're 3-13 in May. Bam.
Like that too.
And my game is with Rob Vino and the Phillies, and I'm taking the Phillies with Zach Wheeler. He's 8-3 with a 1.87 ERA and a 0.937 WHIP in 12 career starts against the Marlins. Phillies are 14-2 under that great coach Girardi. As a home favorite of -125 to -175 over those 2 years that he's been the skipper. See how quick I did that, Tony?
Absolutely.
I didn't see it at all. I don't have the screen up. I didn't see it at all. I heard it though.
Well, guys, thanks for being on the show. I've been watching the chat room here. It's literally every day our numbers are getting better and better, and it's just think where we'll be like the week before football. I can hardly wait.
Well, I hope I'm still above ground. That's all I care about, man. It's a good day. Good day, guys. Good day to see you.
No, don't think like that.
I don't think like that. It's just what's the difference between reality and expectation?
It's much easier to have 4 squares.
It's disappointment. That's all it is.
We're all having better days than Dino Gaudio, the coach. And did you see that? Charged with extortion, trying to extort Louisville's program for money to keep quiet.
What the hell? What did this virus create? Because who the thought they were going to get away with that?
Desperate times.
Yeah, you're right.
It's the medication, Tony. I got the vaccine. I started thinking funny, and Your Honor, I'm insane.
Okay.
All right, fellas.
You're free to go. You're free to go.
Winners.
All right, for
See you, Tony.
Tony
See you,
Mejia,
Rob.
Tony Finn, Rob Vino, myself, sportsmemo.com, waitertalk.com, and the Predictive Playbook. Thanks for watching, and may all the wins be yours.
I would take them.